Picture this. You're sitting at dinner with her. Not a fancy dinner. Just the two of you. Same table you've eaten at 100 times. Same lighting, same everything. And somehow, something feels off. She's scrolling her phone. You're watching yours. The food is fine. The silence is fine. Everything is, technically, fine. But you feel it. That quiet thing. That invisible gap between two people who are physically close and emotionally somewhere completely else. And your brain starts going, is this just what relationships turn into? Does she even notice we've stopped really talking? Am I doing something wrong, or is this just normal now? Did we lose something? Or did I miss the moment it started to go? Here's the thing nobody tells you. She's not pulling away because she stopped caring. She's pulling away because something stopped feeling safe. And what's happening in her nervous system right now has almost nothing to do with what's on either of your phones, and everything to do with a handful of invisible habits that either build her toward you or quietly walk her away from you. Habits so subtle that most men have no idea they're even doing them. You're not failing. You're not broken. You didn't pick the wrong person. You just weren't handed a map for this, and almost nobody is. But by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what those habits are, why they work at a psychological level most relationship content never even touches, and more importantly, you are going to feel them. Because knowing something in your head and feeling it in your chest are two completely different experiences, and both of them matter here. Let's get into it. Now, before we go through the 7 habits, I need to give you something more important than a list. I need to reframe the whole conversation. Most men believe that what women find attractive is confidence, ambition, physical presence, maybe a sense of humor. And those things aren't wrong, but they are surface. Because here's the real truth. What a woman finds irresistibly attractive is not a feature. It's a feeling. It is the specific emotional experience of being around someone whose presence makes her nervous system relax. That's it. Not impressed. Not entertained. Not even necessarily happy in every moment. Relaxed. Safe. Known. See, most couples operate under the assumption that attraction fades naturally over time, that it's just what happens, that the butterflies are for new relationships, and everything after that is maintenance and compromise. But that's not what the research says, and it's not what emotionally connected couples experience. What actually happens is this. Emotional safety is the foundation on which desire lives. When the foundation cracks, through small moments of disconnection, dismissed emotions, distracted presence, desire doesn't evaporate all at once. It slowly, quietly goes underground. And here's what changes everything. The habits we're about to talk about are not about becoming a different person. They are about showing up as the most present, most emotionally grounded version of the person you already are. Her nervous system is reading you before her mind can catch up. She can't always explain why she feels more drawn to you some days than others, but her body knows. And these 7 habits are what her body has been responding to all along. She just never had the language for it, and neither did you. Until now. Number 1. He makes her feel heard before he makes her feel helped. Most men in relationships are solution machines. She brings a problem, he processes it, he fixes it, and he genuinely believes that's what love looks like in action. He's not wrong about the love part. He's wrong about the language. Because here's the deeper truth. When a woman shares something hard with you, her nervous system is not primarily asking, will he solve this? Her nervous system is asking, does he see me right now? Does what I'm carrying matter to him? And when she gets a solution before she gets a witness, something in her registers. Quietly, without drama, he heard the problem, but he didn't really hear me. Here's what that looks like in real life. The disconnecting version. She says, I've just been so overwhelmed at work lately. Like I can't catch up no matter what I do. He says, have you tried making a priority list? You could block out time in the morning before meetings. She says, yeah, maybe. And something in her closes. The connecting version. Same moment, she says, I've just been so overwhelmed at work lately. He puts his phone down. He looks at her. He says, that sounds exhausting. Like genuinely exhausting. How long has it felt like this? And something in her quietly registers, he actually heard me this time. That's not a communication hack. That's just what an emotionally present man naturally does. And when you do it consistently, she stops bracing for the advice and starts opening toward you instead. Because being with you starts to feel like being understood. Number 2, he holds his ground without shutting her out. Here's the part no one talks about. Women are not attracted to men who agree with everything. And they are not attracted to men who bulldoze everything either. What she is magnetized by, and she will rarely be able to articulate this, is a man who has a point of view and holds it without needing her to submit to it. Most men in relationships do one of two things under pressure. They cave, they give in to keep the peace, quietly resenting it, slowly disappearing from their own relationship, or they escalate. They get defensive, get loud, make it about winning. Both of those responses feel like instability to her nervous system. And instability is the opposite of attractive. The deeper truth here is this. A woman needs to know that the man she is with has a self. A real self. Not a performance of confidence, not stubbornness dressed up as strength, but an actual, grounded inner life that doesn't collapse under pressure or combust under disagreement. The disconnecting version. She challenges something he said. He either backs down immediately, yeah, you're right, whatever, or he shuts the conversation down. I'm not doing this right now. And she gets neither the man she fell for, nor the conversation she needed. The connecting version. She challenges him. He pauses. He says, I hear what you're saying. I actually see it differently, and here's why. But I want to understand your side before I say more. And what moves through her in that moment is, he's not a pushover, and he's not a wall. He's a person, a real one. And I'm safe with him. That's what groundedness feels like from the outside. And it is one of the most quietly powerful things a man can offer. Number 3, he is curious about her without needing her to perform. Most couples stop discovering each other at some point. Not on purpose, it just happens. The early relationship is full of questions, real ones, hungry ones. And then life gets busy and familiarity sets in, and suddenly we stop asking because we assume we already know. But here's what nobody explains. People change. Continuously. silently. The woman you're with today is not entirely the same person she was 3 years ago. Her fears have shifted. Her longings have deepened. Some things she used to want, she no longer does. Some things she's never told anyone are more alive in her than ever. And when the man she loves stops being curious about who she is becoming, not who she was, but who she is right now, something in her feels the absence of that, like a faint hunger she can't quite name. She doesn't need you to interview her. She needs you to be genuinely interested. The disconnecting version. He asks how her day was. She says, "Fine." He says, "Cool," and turns on the TV. And the space between them stays exactly as wide as it was. The connecting version. He asks how her day was. She says, "Fine," and starts to let it drop. He says, and this matters, "Wait, actually, what was the best part, even a small one?" And she pauses. And then she tells him something she didn't even realize she wanted to say. And something shifts between them that neither of them will fully be able to explain. Curiosity is intimacy in its earliest form. And when you stay curious about her, she never has to wonder if she's becoming invisible to you. She knows she's still being seen. Number 4. He repairs quickly and without ego. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Not the fight, not who was right, the repair. What happens in the space after the disconnection is more defining for a relationship than the disconnection itself. Most men handle conflict and then wait, sometimes unconsciously, for the woman to return to normal, for her to signal that things are okay again, for the tension to just dissolve on its own. They don't realize that every hour of unreleased tension after a rupture is writing a story in her nervous system about whether this relationship is a safe place to land. The deeper truth is this: emotional repair is not weakness. It is one of the most attractive things a man can do. Not because it proves he was wrong, but because it proves she matters more than his pride does. Not grand gestures, not a lengthy apology speech, not even perfect words, just a man who can say, "Hey, I don't like where we left that. Can we come back to it?" That sentence alone, that small act of turning toward her instead of waiting, is your nervous system communicating to hers, "I choose this. I choose us. You're not alone in here." The disconnecting version. The argument ends. He goes quiet. She goes quiet. Hours pass. They eat dinner without talking about it. They go to bed with it still in the air. And she lies awake wondering if he even noticed that something broke. The connecting version. An hour after it, he comes and finds her. He doesn't have a monologue ready. He just says, "I hate when we're off. Can we talk?" And what moves through her is something she won't say out loud, but will feel for days. He came back for me. He always comes back for me. That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. Number 5. He is present in the small moments without being prompted. Intimacy isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the 30-second ones, when you choose to look up. Most couples invest in the relationship at designated times. Date nights, vacations, the big conversations. And those things matter. but they are not where connection is actually built. Connection is built in the morning, when you ask her how she slept, and you actually mean it. It's built in the 10 seconds you hold eye contact with her in the kitchen before anyone has to be somewhere. It's built in the moment you remember the thing she mentioned in passing 3 days ago, and you bring it back up, not because it was important, but because you were paying attention. Here's what's happening psychologically. Her nervous system is keeping a quiet, running tab. Not maliciously, not consciously, but it is noting every moment you are present, and every moment you are 1,000 miles away inside the same room. And over time, that tab becomes the emotional temperature of the relationship. How safe she feels, how loved she feels, how chosen she feels. The disconnecting version. She says something funny while he's on his phone. He makes a vague sound. She finishes the story to no one. And something small in her deflates. So small, neither of them notices. But the tab updates. The connecting version. She starts talking, and he sets the phone face down. Not dramatically, just does it. And he says, "Wait, say that again. I want to hear this." And she laughs, and the tab updates in the other direction. Presence is not complicated. It is not expensive. It is not a skill that takes years to develop. It is a decision. And every time you make that decision, she quietly registers. He is here, right now. He chose to be here. That's not a small thing. That is everything. Number 6. He has a life he's building that isn't about her. This one surprises people, but stay with me. Most men either lose themselves in relationships or stay so emotionally distant that they never really enter them. Both extremes create the same result: a woman who is either carrying a man or trying to find one. And what she is actually longing for, what every woman is longing for on some level she may not have the language to express, is a man who has something he's reaching toward in his own life. A direction, a sense of purpose, something that gets him out of bed in the morning that has his name on it. Here's the deeper psychological truth. Attraction lives in polarity. When two people become fused, when there is no separation between their worlds, no individual identity, no life outside of us, the spark doesn't deepen, it flattens. She needs to have something to miss about you, even when you're standing right there. She needs to feel the edges of your personhood, what you stand for, what you're building, what moves you when no one else is watching. This isn't about ignoring her or being emotionally unavailable. This is not detachment dressed up as strength. This is not playing games or manufacturing mystery. It is a man who has genuine investment in his own growth. A man who comes home with something to share because something actually happened in him today. The disconnecting version, he revolves entirely around her schedule, her moods, her needs. He has no real passion, no real direction outside of the relationship. And she loves him, but something in her feels less like she's with a partner and more like she's with a shadow of one. And she can't explain why she feels the distance, even though he's always right there. The connecting version, he's working on something. building something, reading something, growing somewhere. And when he talks about it, there's life in his eyes that she doesn't see anywhere else. And something in her thinks, I want to be close to whatever that is. I want to be in the orbit of that person. A man with direction is a man who is genuinely attractive. Not because he's impressive, because he's alive. And being alive is contagious. Number 7. He makes her feel chosen, not just settled for. Here's the part that cuts the deepest, and most couples never name it. There is a specific fear that lives in almost every woman in a long-term relationship that she will almost never bring to you unprompted. It sounds like this. Does he still choose me? Or am I just the comfortable option? Is he with me because I'm his person, or because I'm already here? That fear is not irrational. It's not insecure. It is a human need for reassurance that the love you are inside is not just habitual, that it is a living, breathing, actively renewed choice. And most men have no idea they're triggering it, because most men stop doing the things that signal choice once the relationship feels secure. They stop pursuing. They stop initiating. They stop the small, intentional gestures that say, I picked you, and I'd pick you again today. Emotional distance in a relationship isn't like a wall. It's like scar tissue that forms slowly over 100 small moments that never got repaired. And the antidote to that scar tissue isn't a grand romantic gesture. It's the small, consistent, intentional act of making her feel seen and chosen on a Tuesday. The disconnecting version. He plans nothing. He initiates nothing. Everything is reactive, routine, or at her suggestion. And she does it, and it's fine, and she's grateful in a distant kind of way. But something in her is quietly, persistently asking, does he still actually want this? Or did we just never find a good time to stop? The connecting version. He texts her in the middle of the day, not because something happened, but because she crossed his mind and he let that matter. He plans something small for no occasion. He looks at her sometimes in a way that reminds her of the beginning. Not nostalgia, but presence. And what moves through her in those moments is the thing that makes everything else feel worth it. I forgot how good it feels to be chosen. I forgot this was possible. I want to stay here forever. That's not a technique. That's not a relationship tip. That's just what it looks like when a man loves someone on purpose. This isn't a checklist. It's not 7 boxes to tick or a performance to maintain. It's an invitation to show up differently. And when you do, it changes everything about what becomes possible between you and the person you chose. Because here's what's true. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all of this figured out before tomorrow. You just have to be willing to be a little more present, a little more curious, a little more intentional about the relationship you're actually in. Not the theoretical one, not the highlight reel version, but the real one, with the real person sitting across from you. When you internalize these habits, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop waiting for the relationship to feel better and start being the reason it does. And your partner will feel that shift before you've even said a word about it. Because this kind of change doesn't announce itself. It just quietly, powerfully changes the air between you. These aren't tips for a better relationship. They are the beginning of becoming the kind of partner you always wanted someone to be for you. And that's where real love actually starts. The relationship you want begins the moment you stop waiting for it to get better and decide to be what makes it better.